First of all, kind of take me through. I mean, I'm not a dad, so I don't know what that's like, but it's take me through your son's story. I mean, it's I can't imagine the high of having a son, in the hospital, and then also being told something's not right. So just kind of take me through that whole journey.
Yeah, so my youngest son was born with a genetic disorder called spinal muscular atrophy, also known as SMA, which over time and untreated would lead to death. So to your point of having a newborn and then finding out 5 days after birth that he has this rare genetic disorder is heartbreaking, and something you don't really want to deal with as a parent. However, he did have great treatment. He got on a treatment plan right away with the help at M Health Fairview, Masonic Children's Hospital. He started in one therapy, which kept his muscle function happening. And then after time, the FDA approved a gene therapy, which then he got. And fast forward 5 years later, he has no symptoms. He's unbelievable. He's running around, having a great time. And that's really why we wanted to have this event, is showcasing not only his journey, but all the other kids that have been affected at Masonic. Our story is unique to us, but there's so many people that do great things. And what Masonic is doing is unbelievable. So we want to have everyone out on July 12th to support the genetic advancements. So wearing jeans, we ask everyone to wear jeans for genes. So that's kind of the whole story.
Take me through the moment when you get that news 5 days after he's born. Is that something that at the time is that life threatening? Is it something that is manageable over time? How does that situation play out?
Yeah, so we found out 5 days after he was born. It's basically the test you have on the bottom of the foot. They take the blood sample, they run the genetic testing. He got pinged for having SMA. You get a call from the doctor. Doctor's basically life expectancy is age of 2. So you go from having this joyous moment of having my second child to I might need to start planning for funeral, and don't know how much time you're going to have with him. And that's something that just, even now I'm getting a little emotional about it. So from that standpoint, you get the call from Masonic and they're like, there's so much advanced research that we have and then we've done, we can get him on a drug treatment right now, which basically they needed to take a spinal tap out of his spinal fluid and put in proteins to make sure the muscle function is still there and not depleted. And that's where we feel really blessed that he was born in Minnesota. A lot of the other states in 2019 didn't really test for this. So if he would have been born anywhere else, it wouldn't have been such a successful story. So he got treatment right away. He didn't lose any function of his neurons or his muscles. And then now after he had the drug treatment of Zolgensma, he's living a great life. We cannot be happier. There's a couple of little things that we notice, but no one else is going to notice there's anything different or strange with him. But yeah, it's to get a call to say that your son's life expectancy is 2 is something that I hope no parent ever has to deal with. But we're on the good side of the story where he had success, and he did have these positive outcomes, and we're so thankful for everyone before us and everything after, and that's why we want to raise money to continue other kids having the same story that we've had, and that's something that we feel really passionate about, and we want to make sure that we continue to try and shed light into this, and spotlight Evan specifically this year.
That's absolutely incredible, both the highs and the lows of that whole situation. I guess I'll switch gears to you, Dan. Just kind of take me through the process of how you and Scott got connected to put this event together, and just sort of what it means to be able to do something like this to not only raise awareness for Evan, but to also highlight the Children's Hospital and what they do.
Yeah, well, it's pretty fun to work with Scott, and Minneapolis City is a soccer club. Though we are in the 4th division of U.S. soccer, though we do have a nationally competitive team at our level, we're driven by volunteers. And so, Scott's one of the volunteers, and we were just riffing on some things that we could do to make the games really fun. And he mentioned his story and this idea of let's wear jeans for genes, which we thought was just goofy enough of a twist on something really meaningful. And it was funny, in that conversation, other things came out of different volunteers or interns who'd been impacted by Masonic Children's Hospital. We'd had 2 guys who had been treated for cancer there successfully. The guy who runs our video broadcast, one of them too, and he was really passionate about it. So it started to build once, and Scott had said it, so much of this is focused on his and Evan's story, but Masonic impacts so many people here in the Twin Cities, so many people within the soccer club. And so we thought, well, let's do something really big. let's make it really fun, and let's see what we can do to both, shine light on this, but also to raise money. And so that's why we have it happening at our game, and all the ticket proceeds are going to Masonic Children's. We've got a special Jean Party jersey, which it's just fantastic. The shorts are pretty hilarious, and the proceeds of that are going to Masonic Children's. We've got a pre-party. It's going to start at 5 right before the game, where we've got a silent auction. We've got some fun games. You can donate directly. So a lot of that built just out of that first conversation where we saw what it could do to people right here. And I think Scott said it best, where we just love other people to have those same positive outcomes and be able to live the lives that all those people impacted are living.
I apologize if you just heard a barking dog in the background. I got 2 of them here at home, and one of them's right next to me, and the other one's barking at the garbage man.
No worries.
I want to make sure I clarify something here. So the players themselves are going to be wearing jean shorts Friday night?
So they're not going to be actual jeans. They are going to be printed to look like jeans. We didn't want to do it to them. It's going to be upper 90s, and
Right.
that felt too uncomfortable even for us to ask them.
Okay, and talk me through this process of there's going to be a halftime selfie with all the fans? How did that all come together?
Well, we wanted to as we were talking about it, we're like, we should set a world record. And we should do one of those really, really niche world records where, like, I don't know if you're a kid and you flip through the Guinness Book of World Record book and you're like, wait, there's a world record for, most crabs in a single bucket. And I can't believe that there's a world record for number of 8th inning doubles hit in a Little League game in the month of August, right? So they're trying to do something just kind of fun and funny everyone can get behind. And so that's how came up with the idea of the most people in a selfie wearing denim. And so at halftime, we're asking everyone, stay in the seat. We're going to get a big selfie with the whole stand, everyone there together. We think if we get 1,200 people or more, that we set a new world record in a very niche but very fun category.
And what are we hoping for as far as a fan attendance or a crowd capacity? I don't know what you guys normally get for games, but what are we hoping for in terms of fan attendance Friday night?
Well, I mean, we're hoping for at least 1,200 to set the record, which we have done before. And if we could completely sell out, we play at Eeyore Nelson Field, which is a stadium at Augsburg University. So if we completely sell that out, that should get us at about 1,600. There might be some more for standing room, and we'd love to just pack the place, for gene therapy.
Yeah, I've actually been over to that hospital for some events with Kyle Rudolph and Jason Zucker when they were here in town, and they still do a lot of work with them, even though they're not athletes here anymore. Scott, how did you sort of get affiliated with Minneapolis City SC to begin with? Obviously, you're a soccer fan, so how did that process all start?
Yeah, so it's twofold. So I currently am the creative director at Twin Cities Orthopedics, which is the sports medicine provider for Minneapolis City. And so through those connections, I met Dan, who Dan's the one that kind of championed Minneapolis City from infancy. And so Dan and I have had great conversation. Dan is also a big soccer person. So I asked if I could just volunteer. And so then we started working together a little bit, started working on designing some jerseys, started doing some social media content for them, attending all their marketing meetings, doing all that stuff. And that's where we just had a really good chemistry and really enjoy working with Dan. And the more I talk to him, the more I just want to hang out with him. But yeah, so we did a road trip to Milwaukee this year to watch Minneapolis City take on Bavarians. So we just kind of did that. So it's from jersey design to any of that stuff. So it's something that I think Dan needed a little bit too, of having a little more creative arm. They've done so many great creative things. Their jerseys are well purchased around the world. They're a really fun brand to work on outside of the other brands that I work on. So I really gravitated towards that style. And so so I've been kind of just volunteering, helping with Dan, doing anything creative. And so the Pride jersey we just did, that was something that we worked on together. And then these Jean Party kits, that's something that I designed with Dan as well, where it looks like denim. It looks like a shirt. You have the stitching. It's really fun. And then even the shorts, as you're talking about, we have fake stitching that looks like jorts. So that's something that we're really excited about, seeing all the players run out there with what looks like pockets, but they're just nice soccer shorts.
Okay, that's awesome. How long has Minneapolis City been around? I feel like I started hearing about them when we started covering the Aurora, the women's team, and now we're a TV partner with them, and we stream a lot of their games. When did Minneapolis City really get started?
Yeah, so we started, our first season was 2016, and we've got an
Okay.
interesting story because we just, it's always been just a bunch of regular people pushing it forward. And so the club, we've gone up for a few leagues. We're in USL League Two, and so that is the men's equivalent to USLW League where Aurora play. Um, so yeah, this is we missed one season for COVID, but otherwise, season 8, and we've been growing every year. Our kind of special, unique thing is we only use players from Minnesota. So most of the clubs at this level on the men's and the women's side are recruiting all over the country, and in many cases all over the world, to put together really competitive teams. For us, it's all Minnesota kids or Minnesota-based kids. So you might have a guy who's going to St. Olaf or something like that. And yeah, we've been ranked top in the country. We've been top 5 for a few seasons. So it's really great what can happen when you get a bunch of people from here really feeling that pride in the badge, feeling like they represent their community. And then a lot of the guys are coaching too. So you see their teams, the little youth teams, coming out and supporting them. And it's all fun and games when things go well. But we had a guy miss a penalty on Sunday. We won 5-1, so it was okay. But his little U9 team, they were giving him the business after the game.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you guys saw the Aurora playoff game, but they lost because they had a penalty kick get saved. That was a tough one with just a few minutes to go.
Yeah.
I get, Scott, switching back to your son. What's the kind of prognosis for now? Is he good to go? Does he still have to get treatments? Where are we at there?
Yeah, so he had his treatment in 2020 in February, which is Zolgensma, which is just one shot. It's $2.1 million. Thankfully, insurance covered that. But that got treated, and it basically, the skinny way of saying it is it tricks the brain into thinking you have the genes that you don't have. So he has he has a yearly checkup now, which is just amazing to go from what he had when he was born, where we would have to do those spinal taps that I talked about every 3 months to make sure proteins were getting into the muscles. He had that one shot in 2020. Thankfully, it was right before COVID, and nothing was locked down at that point. So he had that. Prognosis is he is just yearly checkups, and everything looks good. I think he was the 11th kid in the state of Minnesota to get this drug treatment back in 2020. So that's something that is we're really thankful for. And that's why we want, again, to just have other people have these similar success stories that we had, because our life could look very different without Evan.
Yeah, and I actually want to touch on that. I mean, what is it? I kind of asked you about it earlier, but what does it mean to you to be able to put on an event like this Friday night to raise the awareness and raise the money for the hospital when there's a lot of other parents that don't get the news that you guys got and don't get the good results that you guys got?
Yeah, I think it's hope is really what it comes down to. It's pretty emotional to go through everything you go through, the last 5 years of his life of, getting born, not knowing what the outcomes would be. We still don't technically really know because the treatment is so relatively new that there's no really like canary in the mine to like let us know if it degenerates even more. So I guess I would just say that I just want to put these things on to let other people know that it's okay to talk about. There's a lot of things that happen in people's lives that you don't know what they're kind of hiding underneath their persona. And so the more awareness we could bring to this of, it is normal to talk about things that have affected you health-wise, especially because you need help, right? It's you need help, you need outreach, you need community. And I think that's one thing that I think even Minneapolis City does a really good job of doing is bringing community together. That's part of the reason why I want to volunteer and why I brought this idea to them is what are ways that we can showcase that the community is together. Masonic Children's Hospital is a stone throw from where we play in Eder Nelson Field. So it just makes sense that we were there for so many appointments every 3 months to start out numerous blood draws, numerous different treatments, numerous care checkups, physical therapy, to now be there to be like, have Evan be there and maybe like bring the game ball out is something that he could do on his own. Like how amazing is that story to say, from where he was 50 feet away to now he's able to walk out on his own, which, we thought he might be wheelchair bound for a long time or might not even make it. So it's just like a full circle, very joyous, very happy. Hope is kind of the word I started with, and that's kind of how I want to end it too. So we're excited.
That's awesome. So he's done doing therapy now. It's just an annual checkup to make sure everything's good.
Annual checkup with therapy. So they have to like make sure he runs. They do the thing. They check his muscle function. Obviously, with SMA, it's the depletion of muscles. So basically, you lose proteins. The spine and the muscles don't communicate with each other. So they always got to make sure that all that is on the right side of things. So there's standard things they have. But yeah, it's every 6 months he'll go in there into the care team, make sure that they check up and make sure everything's good.
Gotcha. And Dan, is there sort of a financial goal you guys have in mind in terms of how much you want to raise for the hospital? Do we have a number that we want to hit?
Well, we don't want to cap it. And the more traction that we've gotten over the past few weeks, the more we're excited to do it. And so, we're donating ticket proceeds, we're donating some merch proceeds. We continue to get really, really fun silent auction items, and then we're getting donations, and people can donate right there on our website. And so we're hoping to write a big check, and this is the first year we've done it. So part of it is let's set a baseline, and let's set it really high. So sky's the limit for us.
And sort of like I asked you earlier, what does it mean for you to be able to put on an event like this to not only highlight the team, but also highlight this story, this incredible story, and this incredible journey that Evan has been on?
I mean, this is what it's all about. When this started back in 2016, we had the idea that this was about building that community of players and fans and others, and so being able to use what we're doing to give back, and then as part of that, to be able to meet and hear from people like Scott and his family, or others within the club who've been so positively impacted. It can't help but touch your heart, and so it gets more and more meaningful every story that people tell. And if hope, like Scott said, is something that we can spread, gosh, what a great way to spend our time.
Exactly. So to go back to the logistics, doors or gates open at 5, the game's at 7.
Yep, we've got the pre-party starting at 5, and it's right in Lot L at Augsburg University, which is right next to the stadium. Just put it in Google. And then the game kicks off at 7 p.m. We're playing Thunder Bay, and then stay in your seats at halftime for the selfie. And it looks like weather is going to be great. So, it's a good day for jean shorts.
So who's going to take the selfie? Is that you, Scott?
No, we have a photo crew. I wish I could. My 8-year-old has been fighting to try and do it, but I'm like, we got to make sure that we capture this. So we'll see. Yeah, I think we have a great crew of volunteers, as Dan said, and I think they'll maybe be in there. I'm hoping maybe even the coach will take it because we want to get the team in there with all their denim-looking jerseys as well. So that we're asking them to stay at halftime. So we'll see. We'll see who takes it. I think we're still working on logistics.
Sure.
But yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
Cool. Well, this has been fantastic. If there's anything I forgot or anything you guys want to add, feel free to take the stage. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up.
I'll just add one more thing is, sorry, Dan, I talked over you. I'll just add everything can be found at our website, Minneapolis City SC.com. It's MPLS, which is short for Minneapolis-SC.com. And then right on the homepage, there's the Gene Party. You can click on that and find out all the information. That's where you can donate. We'll have a great online silent auction with a lot of really good sports memorabilia too that's thrown in there. So any sports fans that want to get out there, I know there's a couple of items from the Vikings, the Twins. And then I know we have some great other donations as well. So there'll be a live DJ. There'll be a lot of fun. We just hope to everyone get out there, wear your jorts, jean jackets, overalls, whatever you have that's denim that's been sitting in your closet since the 90s. Now's the time to bring it out. It's going to be a little bit hot out, so that's totally fine. But yeah, we're just excited to try and set a world record and bring a lot of great awareness to Masonic and all the great things that they're doing. Dan, anything you want to add? Sorry, I cut you off there.
No, that was perfect. I was just to say thanks, Jeff, for having us on. It's great to be able to share the story, and hopefully we can turn this into something really, really impactful.
I was just